Hey guys, Eric Clear here, co-founder of Orange's Property Management and the team lead with the investment team at Remax Niagara. Today we're really going to sort of address anybody who's interested in investing in real estate but doesn't necessarily want to be a landlord. There's a big difference between being an investor and a landlord. So again, I'm here today. I got Johnson Andrews from the Vine Group, who's our trusted mortgage professional, and he's going to talk about how, again, building these costs into the deal, something we do together, but more specifically, the mortgage product that works best for you to allow you to be hands-off. Because of an expensive mortgage, not that I want to speak too much for him because he's going to talk about this stuff on his own, but if you're not in the right product, maybe you don't have the resources to hire the right people to make sure it's passive, right? You might be stuck having to go fix toilets yourself, and because you spent so much money on areas you didn't have to. Maybe you only amortized your mortgage over 25 years and you could have did 30, for instance, right? So there's different areas and stuff that he will guide you efficiently and effectively to make sure you can be an investor and not an owner, right? Because obviously the real estate returns are high. They're better than a lot of things that you can get offered at a bank and so on and so forth. So I've built my entire business and invested my life and career into allowing investors to be hands-off and keep them investors. There's a big difference. Like I said, landlord, not everyone wants to be a landlord. An investor, there are a lot of people want to invest and grow their money for whatever personal reasons that they have. So we're going to dive into this. A big topic that I find myself speaking with people all the time is what's the difference? Or a lot of people say, well, I think I can manage it on my own in the beginning. I think I can handle maybe one house or two, even if you live in the area, even if you don't live in the area. So a big argument I make is set your business up day one, because real estate investing, let's be honest, is a business. And if it's not treated like a business, it won't perform like a business. And what I mean is you'll lose cash flow, you'll have a lot of inefficiencies, you might lose money. There's a lot of very sort of big variables that are in play if it's not effectively managed. So, I have a lot of experience in dealing with tenants, from the rental, from the leasing and marketing to the management to the upkeep, quarterly inspection, staying on top of the property to make sure everything's being managed properly, from your appliances to the flooring to the structure itself. To make sure your bills are, out of whack, where you're spending thousands of dollars a year on gas and hydro that you don't need to spend. And again, that all starts with the acquisition, right? Buying the right house, having the right mortgage, being in an area that's going to give you the sort of rental income that you need. So, again, guys, set your business up. So if you don't see yourself in 5, even 2 years, collecting rent from 5 or 6 or 7 different people, or driving down to check on your investment, or fixing a toilet, or being there with your family or your spouse on Christmas morning and having to fix a water pipe that's burst. If you don't see that as part of your life and your day-to-day activities, then you've just very easily identified the fact that you are more of a investor versus a landlord. Doesn't mean you can't get all these beautiful sort of trade-offs that go along with being a real estate investor. Capital appreciation, cash flow, principal pay down. There's a lot of really leverage, asset ownership. I don't know if people talk about that. At the end of the day, it's always cash flow in this. The fact that you own assets is such a big, important thing that I don't think gets enough focus. But either way, those are all great benefits, and you don't have to be a landlord to take advantage. So set your business up day one, right? From working with a real estate focused realtor to a mortgage professional that encompasses a lot of different areas to service you, to a property manager, which we also do. These are all things that can really help you not only achieve your goals and give you the best returns you're going to find in various markets, but truly give you that hands-off experience where, your life is not altered by the fact that you made this investment. It's not like you go to the bank, you sit down and you say, I would like to invest in this mutual fund, or maybe I want to direct some of my own investing and buy this stock. And they give you a list of things you have to do. No, you put the money in, and now you own that investment. Real estate isn't like that, right? There's a lot of things required to make a asset or an investment perform the way that it should. And that's what I've dedicated my life to doing for people just like you, is how do you effectively set it up to yield the best result? So I hope to talk to, a lot of you that are maybe interested in investing in real estate, and you want to know what that looks like to set it up, or sort of what steps can you take? What's the process like? I'm happy to cover all of that with you guys. So I'm going to let Johnson say a couple points about the mortgage product and how it can really help you as a individual looking to invest, remain an investor versus a landlord, and how the cost of what it costs to have someone like me handle it all for you, how we build that in, and how accurate those numbers really are. So Johnson, if you want to take it over, brother.
Very good points, obviously, as usual. But I think what you guys are usually thinking of is, how do we anticipate or understand what the costs are for having a property manager, right? And to me, even if it did have some additional cost to myself, if I were to be an owner, that would take away some of the cash flow. I would still want to have the best person running and managing that business aspect when it comes to my properties. The one thing that I always think of is, if you're not the best at it, outsource it. And it's no different than anyone here that's a business owner that's watching, or even an employee. You are the best at what you do when you're an employee. That's why you're hired in the first place. If you're now going to become an investor and own properties, you are running a business. You want to have the best employees per se working with you, which is why you want to outsource the property management to optimize things. Now, when you look at your actual mortgage products, there's a couple of things that we can do when reviewing to ensure that your cash flow is correct, and in making sure that you can afford Eric and his team. Number one is looking at the different interest rate options. Different rates can, different terms carry different payments. That is something that we'll bake into our analysis to ensure that we understand what our costs are and what interest rate allows us to be cash flow neutral at worst. From there, we can also look at amortization, because that's another way that you can impact your monthly payments. I've come across many people that when they bought a rental property, they amortized it over 25 years. And now they're sitting on a position where there's a lot less amortization left, but due to these higher interest rates, their payments have gone up and they're not in a position where they're cash flow positive. One thing that we can always do is re-amortize that debt back up to 30 years to lower your monthly payments. And then we can watch to see as rates come down to then bring your amortization back to where you were before you saw these higher rates. So again, this is all from a place of managing cash flow to make sure that you're comfortable and you don't have very large capital injections. The final thing that we always want to do is making sure that your debt is handled and managed in a way in which that is going to lead to the most write-offs for you when it comes to your taxes. One of the benefits of being an investor is that the interest that your debt carries is all tax deductible from the income that it generates. So while we're then carrying more debt maybe on a property, it's also adding to our expenses, so you're not having to pay more taxes. So there's many different things that we can do as an owner. And the biggest thing that I always want to do is just try and make sure that we're optimizing that with your debt, but then also putting you in a position to optimize the experience of your tenants so that they stay and pay you the most money and the property is managed so you can be hands off and enjoy the appreciation and the asset growth that you're going to get from being that owner.
Absolutely. And very well said. And the best part is the things that we're talking about, it doesn't cost you any extra to use a professional like Johnson, right? If anything, you're going to save money. And the other point, yes, is there fees related to my services? Of course. But in a lot of cases, all the efficiencies and the experience that I bring to the table, there's a lot of scenarios where I pay for myself, right? Mm-hmm. Like the extra rent, the loss prevention in terms of vacancies that we avoid, the maintenance upkeep because we stay on the tenant. We know what legal forms we can use and can't use to enforce things, setting up the lease properly, additional documents, not just writing it in the Schedule A and thinking it's all good to go. Through experience, I know that's not how it works. You need separate. So we know at every corner, imagine you're going through a maze, where to push you in the right direction. And that is essentially what we're here to do is what can we do that's not in our best interest, that's in your best interest. And we're not trying to sound like sleazy car salesman here. No disrespect to all my wonderful car salesmen out there. Maybe used car salesman. We should have said that. But my point is we sincerely know how to structure things in a way that will ultimately serve you guys. And again, the goal is to make money, right? I know we talk a lot about all these other things, but at the end of the day, you're not trying to buy a real estate investment because you want to create housing for people. Are you accomplishing that inadvertently? Absolutely. Is that the main reason? No, it's not. It's to invest and build wealth. Like, let's be honest. So doesn't mean that we can't have all these other great spinoffs. And if you do it properly, you actually get to serve so much more than simply just building a well-oiled machine or a good real estate portfolio. You really can create nice apartments for good quality tenants that want to live, in your space that you create. So again, we really want to connect with you guys. This was just a brief sort of overview of really trying to show you that you can invest in real estate and you don't have to be the guy doing all of the legwork. There are people like me and Johnson that exist that can work together and structure your investments and potential purchases, or to look at existing properties and leverage those to create more and scale. So again, guys, appreciate you checking in with us today. We're really excited to hopefully get to connect with a lot of you. And at any time, if you have any questions or concerns, please connect with us. And we'd love to get a chance to answer those questions.